his opponent, his chief opponent, Ron DeSantis, is kind of kicking off his tour, the Florida governor now, calling the Great American Comeback Tour. He'll start today in Iowa. In an interview yesterday on Fox, DeSantis was asked for the rationale for his campaign. Why is he running? Why should people look at him, take a vote for him over Donald Trump? Here's what he said.
Why is right now the time for Ron DeSantis to run for president?
Because everyone knows if I'm the nominee, I will beat Biden and I will serve 2 terms and I will be able to destroy leftism in this country and leave woke ideology on the dustbin of history.
So there it is in a nutshell, Joe. He says he can beat Joe Biden, suggesting that Donald Trump can't. He'll serve 2 terms. Donald Trump can. He's already served 1. And then just on the issues, on the shining city on a hill, the morning in America, it is defeat woke ideology.
I mean, Gene Robinson, we were so far from Ronald Reagan, that America is a city shining brightly on the hill for all the world to see. Yeah. You know, the last great. And a serious point here, too, because, well, actually, let me play you this clip, because this is when I just started thinking, you know, we used to have a football coach that would say, you boys are majoring in minors. Focus on the big things. This is what Ron DeSantis is doing. He's majoring on the minors, on things that may get a small sliver of the population, but it's not like Reagan. Reagan would say things that maybe 50% of Americans agreed with, but he'd say it in a way that 90% of Americans would go, yeah, this guy's on to something. Reagan was always trying to reach out. It's maybe why he won 49 states and why Republicans under Donald Trump keep losing election. But Ron DeSantis, for some weird reason, I don't get it, seems to be following that path. And moments later in that interview, he was asked whether he could win Iowa. This is what he had to say.
We obviously have a lot in common with Iowa in terms of what Florida's done and what they've done under Governor Kim Reynolds. And I think the groundswell of support has been really, really strong. And, you know, we're going to press the case. I mean, you know, they had mentioned there may be some differences with me and Donald Trump. And I think that those differences redound to my benefit in a place like Iowa. I mean, for example, you know, he's taken the side of Disney in our fight down here in Florida. I'm standing for parents. I'm standing for children. And I think a multi-billion-dollar company that sexualizes children is not consistent with the values of Florida or the values of a place like Iowa.
Disney sexual. Ron DeSantis decides that he's going to launch his campaign by talking about how the Magic Kingdom sexualizes children. This is something that, again, we've all grown up with Disney. You and I, Gene, when we were young, would see the wonderful world of Disney every Sunday night. It's continued through. And you know, it's not like things got crazy. My kids growing up, you know, I've seen The Lion King like 87 times, like, and The Little Mermaid and all of these other shows. It hasn't radically changed or shifted. What's happened is, for some reason, this has become this weird sort of cottage industry deal. And I guess maybe people get ratings doing this. Maybe they make money. Maybe people listen to their podcast by bashing Disney. But I can tell you, as somebody that knows a little bit about Florida, this doesn't even sell in Florida. I mean, Disney is loved, but this
Joe, he got married there.
He got married there.
It's a happy place.
The happiest place on earth, I think, is what all those quarterbacks from Super Bowl say. It's just, again, Gene, my bigger point is this. They emphasize these really small things that gin up a small part of the base, instead of being like Reagan, looking over the horizon and saying, how do I unite Americans, and in the process win 49 states?
Yeah, it is incredible. I mean, Joe, you and I, we both spent a lot of time in Iowa. We both know that, you know, you're walking down the street and you ask voters, you know, what's on your mind? What are you thinking, Republican voters? And they say, that Disney. I hate Disney. I wish somebody would go after Disney. I mean, it's just ridiculous. No, it's ridiculous. This is the centerpiece of. I can't believe that he mentions that as part of his argument why he should be the Republican nominee, let alone President of the United States. Again, I don't. This is Ahab-like. This pursuit of Disney. It can't be a really winning issue for him, I think. But all he's got apparently is I'm against woke ideology, and that's gonna touch a chord among the base, among the hardcore base. But boy, that is a tough sell if you want to be president of the United States, because you've got a few more things to worry about other than pronouns. You know, you've got a lot of other stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Lemire, the guy can talk. He can express himself. He's intelligent, and yet he always, again, goes down to the lowest common denominator. I'm not really sure, but you know, this anti-woke crusade. You notice Tim Scott. Tim Scott did something, I think, pretty smart in his announcement. He never talked about woke. He talked about things he disagreed with that some people might say, oh, well, that's woke or this, that. But all this talk, it's at this point, it's ground noise. When you go, oh, and woke is, Florida's where woke goes to die. Like, this is like Donald Trump and like being Fat Elvis and like repeating everything that he did in 2016. And you know, he's like Elvis in 1977. He's repeating the same act over and over again. And again, if you want to be new and you want to be different and you want to take your party in a winning direction, then don't go to the lowest common denominator. Again, it just doesn't make sense.
Or to paraphrase the criticism that was levied against Rudy Giuliani during his campaign, DeSantis is noun, verb, woke. That's it. It's all it is. And he's talking to us this small piece of the electorate, sort of the Fox News primary. Yeah, maybe right now he'll score some points in Florida. He could score some points among diehard conservatives in some of the early states. But even Disney's not perceived among Republicans as this unambiguous win. There's a lot of Republicans who are like, this is a major business here, a beloved American institution. You just lost a lot of jobs for your state because of this. So he's opened himself up to those sort of attacks, too. And it reinforces some concerns that the donor class has started to have about DeSantis. And look, he raised a lot of money in his first day, no doubt, but that was supposed to be one of his major advantages. He was going to be the palatable Republican to those who were tired of Donald Trump. But he's really boxed himself in a lot of extreme positions. And now, look, he hits the road today. It begins, Joe and Mika. He makes his first stop out in Iowa. He's going to hit a couple of these early battleground states, these early primary states, and we will see what sort of retail politician he proves to be, because to this point, the reviews have been pretty unfavorable, that he's had trouble connecting with voters, connecting with donors, connecting with supporters, and he's going to have to show that he has the ability to be charismatic, but also to fashion an argument that separates himself from Trump, who right now has definitely got the better of their matchup.
Joe, to your point about majoring in minors, most Americans, the vast majority of Americans, hear him say that Disney is sexualizing children and just go, what is he even talking about? Yeah. What is the story behind? What does that even mean? Most of them were going out to see Disney's The Little Mermaid for, $150 million it made at the box office or whatever it was this weekend. So you have to sort of picture he's running to be president of the United States. If he's standing on a debate stage with Joe Biden and he starts talking about Disney sexualizing young children, does that turn on voters in the suburbs of Atlanta and Philadelphia and Milwaukee? Is that something that they're concerned about or that they even understand? We'll see. I get it. This is a primary. He's trying to win a primary first, but he's got a lot of stuff, including the 6-week abortion ban, that he's going to have to unwind if he becomes the nominee, and that's going to be very difficult to do.
Yeah. It's so crazy. What did we hear repeatedly in the summer of 2022? What we heard was the biggest issues are inflation, jobs, the southern border. You go down the list, gas prices. You go down the list. These issues, these economic issues, and Republicans said Democrats won't talk about them. And then they go into the 2022 election, and they're talking about these issues again that a small number of Americans care about. And they get absolutely walloped at the polls in 22. Mika, I think I don't agree with the conventional wisdom about Ron DeSantis. I think right now he's even money. And I know a lot of people would laugh at that. I think Ron DeSantis right now is even money to be the next Republican nominee for president. I do think that if he learns how to get out of his way, and we're still 9 months off from elections, he could beat Donald Trump because he is so much more competent than Donald Trump, and he's supposed to come without the baggage that Donald Trump has. As he said in his press conference, he doesn't know a whole lot about paying off porn stars, so he can't really answer those type of questions.